You're probably feeling this way as well if you're processing your UK visa. I'm telling you, it was I mean, there were nights that I slept, but I didn't really sleep because all through the night I was calculating, like, okay, I believe I filled this section right. Yeah, I have the money in the account. I know I send them bank statements, I was asking myself questions and I was responding to myself, and before I knew it, it was morning. So it was as though the days were just going like this. I wasn't really sleeping well because send my result. Let me know if I'm going or if I'm staying back in my home country. Let me know what's up. Hello, I hope you're doing great. My name is Hannah. If you're new here, I get asked a lot how I moved to the UK, and so today I'm going to be spilling all the tea. This is probably going to be a lengthy video, so find somewhere chill to relax, get comfortable, get a drink while we delve right in. But before that, I want to let you know that I do have a newsletter. I'm going to leave the link in the description box in case you want to check that out. On this channel, I talk about productivity, personal growth, intentional living, and now I'm sharing my experiences living in the UK. The first thing you need to do is to make a decision, and for me that decision was emotional and it was a tough decision. I recorded a video about that and I'm going to leave it in this video or leave it in the description box below, but that video is real, is raw, is 100%. A lot of people loved it, so I strongly suggest you watch it right after you're done watching this one. The decision to come to the UK was a very emotional one because, for context, I'm Nigerian, so I moved from Nigeria to the UK. So imagine where you've spent your whole life, like your 20-something years in Nigeria. Having to move from Nigeria to the UK required a mental shift, so it was a very tough one for me. And just living where you've been all your life, you know what it is like there, and you're coming to this place that is so unknown. I feel like not a lot of people emphasize on that. All I hear about is the nice things and the beautiful things of relocating and stuff, but nobody talks about that emotional decision and that struggle before you come here. So the first thing you need to do is to make a decision, and for some of us that decision will be very easy, to be very straightforward, maybe because you're not attached to your own country and it's not such a big deal for you. Also, there is the financial implication and you have to think about that as well. So for some of us, you have to think months and months and months and months ahead before you make that decision, because it does have a huge financial implication. But for some people that don't think about the financial implication, maybe you have your money, then maybe it's not such a big deal making this decision. You have the finances, you just put two and two together and you're here. The next thing you want to decide on is how are you going to get to the UK? Are you just going to go and buy a ticket, enter the plane and land here, or how is it going to happen? Well, the second step now is to find out what visa route is most suitable for you and your situation. Right now, there is the standard visitors visa, there is the student visa, there is the work visa, there is global talent visa, there is entrepreneur visa, startup visa, innovator visa. There are so many visas, and I really advise that you check out the gov.uk website, because that website is a huge resource. So you want to check out that website. But for right now, I'll be focusing on the student visa because that is like the easiest way to move to the UK. The third thing is to have a strategy. I'm telling you, you need a strategy before you can move to this country. For me, I knew I was coming here on the student visa, and I've always wanted to have my MBA. I either wanted to have my MBA or my MSc, but I preferred the MBA. So I decided to apply to University of Worcester, and I sent in my personal statement, my transcript, and my WAEC result, I believe, because they need to know that you can speak English, because it's an English speaking country. And if you're not from an English speaking country, then you probably have to write TOEFL or something. But if you're from Nigeria, then you don't need that. If you have your WAEC certificate, then you can present that. Some schools will require that you have a letter from one of your lecturers. I think when I applied to University of Westminster some years ago, they did ask for that, and I had to meet my lecturer to get like a a document that proved that I was taught in English. But right now, 2020, when I did try to apply again, that was not necessary. All I sent was my transcript, my personal statement, and my WAEC result, and it was pretty straightforward. I got the admission. The problem was that the school was expensive and they needed a deposit of £6,000. I didn't have £6,000 to pay at that moment. I had to change my strategy and apply to another university. So I was looking for universities that offered a payment plan, and I later found out that there were some universities that offered payment plan, but the university I found, still, I liked the university. I was comfortable with it. I did my research. It appeared like a good university. It's University of Huddersfield, in case you're wondering. So I decided to apply to that university. Good thing is, at the time that I applied, they were offering a £4,000 scholarship, plus your advance is just £3,000. So I needed to just pay £3,000 before I get my CAS, and everything is just fine. Your CAS is your confirmation of acceptance for studies letter, required by the immigration to show that the school is sponsoring you as a student. So I was able to get my CAS, which contains your CAS number, because that is what you're going to use to apply for your student visa. Let's break down the cost of moving to the UK. Obviously, if you're going through another visa route, maybe the skilled worker visa route or the global talent visa route, you won't be incurring some of this cost. But for those people that are going through the student visa route, these are some of the costs that you can expect to incur. As an international student, your tuition fee will be between £10,000 and £15,000. Now, this is the moderate category, so you're going to like a public research university and not a private university. These are just like regular public research universities, which are also very standard, like really good universities as well. After the cost of the tuition fee, the next cost you need to account for is your living allowances, and you need to account for that for up to 9 months of your studies. Now, this is what I was talking about when I said making a decision, because as at 2020, when I decided to come here, the living allowances was lesser. But now I checked the gov.uk website before filming this video, and the cost is now like this. It looks like once it goes this way, it's very hard for it to come down. But on the gov.uk website, for up to 9 months, if you're studying in London, you have to prove that you have £1,334 per month for your living allowances. And for courses outside London, you have to prove that you have up to £1,023 per month. When you multiply 1,023 by 9 months, you have £9,207. And if you're studying in London, then just do the maths. You need to have that required amount in your account. Before you apply for your student visa, you need to have some money in your account for a 28-day period before you apply for that visa. And the money you need to have is your living allowance, which is the £9,207, and you also need to have the balance of your tuition fee. So let's say I paid £3,000 for my deposit and my school fee is £10,500. You need to have £7,500 in your account. That's the balance of your tuition fee, and the £9,207 living allowance in your bank account for 28 days. And that amount mustn't drop by a single penny in that 28-day period. After the 28-day period, you print out your bank statement, and this forms part of the documents that you need to submit alongside your visa application. And this is the challenge. You know, I'm moving from Nigeria to the UK, and so the dollar was just doing like this. I had to convert naira to pounds, and you know, there's the dollar in between. It was crazy. You know, you go and look for money in the deeper places, inner places. If you have any pocket, any hole, anywhere you're keeping money, pack every single amount. Just gather everything. So just gather everything together, because you're going to need all the money that you can get your hands on. Also, this part is very delicate because, like I said earlier on, there was the battle with the exchange rates, foreign exchange and all of that. So you need to make sure that you are using a site called Owanda. It's a foreign exchange company to do your conversions, right? You need to make sure you are doing that. Then whatever amount it gives to you in naira, you need to have just a bit above that, just in case, you know, the foreign exchange decide to do anyhow, you are covered, because it is really important. The UK people, the people processing your application, they're not going to hear that, oh, you had the right amount, but because of the foreign exchange the money dropped and so blah blah blah. No ways, they're not going to hear that. So you want to make sure you have at least a buffer, so that just in case the foreign exchange decides to act anyhow, you are covered. The next cost that you need to factor in is your visa application fee. I don't know if it has changed now, but in December of 2020, when I was applying for my visa, there was a limit to the amount you could spend, the amount of international transaction you could do, and the amount you could spend on your debit MasterCard, and that was $100. If I remember correctly, that was $100. So I had to basically rely on people that were doing it for business, that had a higher limit, and they were going to get their own fees as well. So you need to also put that into consideration. Also, there was a point where I couldn't even pay directly, like naira to pounds, because maybe pounds wasn't available. So I had to first do the change from naira to dollar and convert. So the conversion was just a bit messy. And so for my visa application fee, I can only give you the amount in dollars, and that was $483 for just me for my visa application. And then I have the IHS cost as well. This is your health insurance, the UK's health insurance. You have to pay for that, and not only do you pay for a year, you pay for the length of time of the visa. And the student visa, they give you a year 3 months, so you have to pay for that amount of time for your health insurance. So I ended up paying $978.84. Remember, this figure is in pounds, but because I couldn't pay directly, I had to use a business card, someone else's business card that had his own charges, and pay this in dollars. So that is something that you also have to factor in as well. Photocopying cost, oh my god, this is the most annoying cost that I had to incur when I was processing my UK visa, because you know, this is your first time. Yeah, it's not like you're experienced with this thing, so you definitely have people that are trying to outsmart you, and there are people that are also doing this for business and they have to make their own money. So I was printing one page for 500 naira. That is like $1 for one page, and I had to print like maybe 10 pages. Sometimes you even print pages that you don't necessarily need, but because this is your first time, you don't want to make any errors, you don't want to do anyhow, you want to get the thing like sharp, you want it to be straight, like no errors. So you're like, you know what, just photocopying, I'm going to pay. And before you know it, I was spending like 5,000 naira. I know it's little, but all of this counts, right? It counts. And when you're spending that money, you're pulling out your card or you're paying in cash, that is when you know that, oh my god, I am actually spending a lot of money. So you have to put that into consideration as well. These are the tiny costs, but the very annoying cost, and the cost that you're going to pay when you're doing this processing. Another cost that you have to factor in is logistics. As a matter of fact, on getting to the biometric center, all the dates were filled and they were giving me next year dates. It was so crazy. And because I had the timeline, I had the deadline as to when I needed to be here in the UK, I couldn't wait. So there was a lot of rushing. It was a very stressful time at doing my capturing, and some people had to stay there overnight, so they had to pay for hotel fees. But because I was driving, I could afford to drive back to the island and come back the next day. That cost around 10,000 naira. I think I spent just about that, or even way more than that, in logistics. Your tuberculosis test, that is a requirement that you need to fulfill. I think at the time that I did mine, it was 57,800 naira for an adult and 23,120 naira for children under 11 years. So if you're an adult, it's 11 years and above, you're an adult, and 11 years below, children. Your COVID test is something that you also need to factor in. That cost 50,400. I did mine at Diagonise Me by 54 Gene. Now, when you're doing your COVID test, you can't just do it anywhere. If you're planning to travel with it, you need to do it at some specific testing centers, and one of the main testing center was Diagonise Me by 54 Gene, and that was where I used. If you're processing your UK visa now, make sure you find out what the requirements are, but I think this is pretty much solid information. You also have to think about your flight. I paid 213,961 naira for that flight to the UK. So there was no direct flight to where I was coming, so I had to book a flight to London Heathrow Airport, then from there to Manchester, and it cost that much for my flight ticket. And for some people, it's crazy, you don't even get your apartment until you get here, because it's kind of hard to process that from Nigeria. Sometimes you have an agent here that is helping you out, which thankfully I did, but for some people they don't have that, so they come into the country and they have to stay at an Airbnb. For one night you need to budget at least £15 to £40 per night for your Airbnb. I forgot to mention that there was also another COVID test that was required on getting here, and that COVID test cost £210. So if you're coming from some countries, they even require that you are quarantined in a particular hotel, and that is super expensive. And if you want to check out which countries those are, then you need to go visit the gov.uk website. But I was coming from Nigeria, and the cost of that, if you're coming from Nigeria to the UK, you have to book for your COVID test before you leave Nigeria, and that costs another £210. You also need to factor in the cost of your feeding, and that can go anywhere from between £25 to £50 per week, depending on where you stay. But the funny thing is, you won't even need to factor in where you'd stay and your feeding, because that is part of your living allowance, so you won't need to factor that in separately. But I'm just saying that this is where your living allowance is. This is where it goes to. Once you submit your application, you're expected to hear back from them within 3 weeks. But some people prefer to get like a faster response date, so they pay for that. I think it's about £200. I'm no longer sure. I didn't do that, but if that's something you want to do, then go for it. People don't talk about the biggest cost, and the biggest cost of moving to the UK is your sanity. So let's talk about some of my fears. This part is really funny, because there were nights that I closed my eyes and I opened it and it was morning because I didn't sleep. Okay, Hannah, you're probably feeling this way as well if you're processing your UK visa. I'm telling you, it was I mean, there were nights that I slept, but I didn't really sleep, because all through the night I was calculating, like, okay, I believe I filled this section right. Yeah, I have the money in the account. I know I send them bank statements, I was asking myself questions and I was responding to myself, and before I knew it, it was morning. So it was as though the days were just going like this. I wasn't really sleeping well, because send my result, let me know if I'm going or if I'm staying back in my home country. Let me know what's up. So in this section, we'll be discussing fears, mistakes, frequently asked questions. I'll be discussing everything together, because it just kind of goes hand in hand and you will learn from it all round. So let's get into it. So I'm going to start with a mistake, right? The first mistake I made was getting my information from public forums online. See, when you're doing this type of thing, obviously every step of the way you want to make sure you're doing things right. And especially after I submitted my visa application, I wanted to be sure, like, I hope I didn't make any mistake. What were some other people's experiences, etc. And then, because I was so hyper, I was checking on online forums. What are other people's experiences? How did it go for them? When did they get their result? I was literally doing a countdown, but that is one of the mistakes. The best place you can get your information is from gov.uk. Another good source of information is the school's representative in your country. Let me tell you, those guys were helpful for me. The school representative in your country, they have a lot of experience about these things, and whenever you have doubts, you can always ask them. So another relatively good source of information for you is if you happen to know someone that is also going through that process and they're a bit ahead of you in that process. So those are the good source of information for you, not from some online forum. Yes, they can help relieve you of some stress, and yes, every once in a while you may check it out, but don't take their word for it, because there is a lot of misinformation online, and there is also a lot of out of date information, because sometimes what they are saying is not necessarily wrong, it's just not currently what is happening at the time that you're doing your processing. And that's the reason why I say that it's good for you to watch a lot of YouTube videos, and it's good for you to hear from other people's experience and check on online forums, but the number one place for your information is gov.uk. So my first mistake was just going to these online forums, because man, they did me bad. Let me share one of my experience with you. From what I had read from the forums, they said that if you received your passport, because when you go for your biometric, they're going to collect your passport, I think. Oh my god, I hope my memory serves me right, but they collect your passport and stuff and then return it to you whether you got the visa or not. So we're on the queue and we're about to go in to get our passport, and on the forum I read that if you collect your passport and there is a sheet of paper in it, then that means that you did not get the visa. I was on the queue and it was my turn, and I was giving my passport and it had a sheet of paper. I was like, oh my god, all those months of planning and all the spending, oh my god, I didn't get the visa. So I was going to the car, I was like, well, I didn't get the visa, whatever. Only for me to, in fact, I almost did not even open it. I almost just I'll check it out later. But I was like, let me just check what they said was the reason why I didn't get the visa. And I just opened it. I flipped open the note and I was like, congratulations. Like, what? I just shared a mistake with you. Now let me share a funny moment with you. I applied for my visa December 21st, and you know it takes 3 weeks before you get your results back. But December 21st, when I applied, was during the time they were going to go on break. So I think they went for the New Year break or the Christmas break. So that kind of extended the process a little bit. Now, here is one advice, right? If you know that you cannot wait for that 3 weeks, then it's better to do the faster decision process, like pay for that. Let me tell you, this 3 weeks was torture. It was torture. I kept thinking, oh my god, I should have just paid to get the faster decision, because my friend that did pay got her result in like 5 days, but I was overestimating it, like it's just 3 weeks, and before you know it, 3 weeks is here. Oh my god, every single day was crazy. Now honestly, if you have done everything right, you don't need to apply for that faster decision and all that. It's not even necessary at all. So while I was waiting, I got an email January 15, 2021. The email said, thank you for your UK visa application, which has been received and is under consideration. We aim to process non-settlement applications within 15 working days and settlement applications within 60 working days. Unfortunately, was it. When I read unfortunately, I was like, oh my god. Oh my god, I didn't get the visa, baby, blah, blah, blah. I started to have different doubts, like from different area, but I sent the email to the student representative in my country, and she said it's fine, it's just a normal email, just to kind of give them time to process the applications. And you know, because of the COVID period, they had a lot of pending applications, and so that meant that they were getting back to people much later, especially the people that paid for the standard processing. But normally it's supposed to take them 15 days to get back to you, and that calmed me down a little bit. And a few days after that, they sent me, I think a week after that, they sent me an email that my decision is ready. I should come to the biometric center to pick up my passport and all of that. first question I get is, does immigration confirm your bank statement? I don't work at immigration, so I'm not able to answer 100%. But for me, I got a call from my bank officer where I printed my bank statement, and they called me to ask if I had submitted my bank statement to the embassy, of which I answered yes. I asked them why they were asking, and they said they had gotten an email from them asking them to confirm if I indeed printed the bank statement from their bank. So it's possible that they check all bank statements. I don't know. Honestly, I really don't know. But in my case, that was it. Another question that keeps popping up is, do they ask for your bank statement at the airport? Honestly, again, I can't say. But for me, when I got to the airport, it was so smooth. I think I spent like 1 minute. They asked me what I was here for. I think they even checked my passport and like, oh, you're a student, bam, 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 and then I was on my way. So there was no delay for me. Although I did hear that for some people, they asked them. I really don't know, and I can't say much about it. While you're doing this processing, try to ask as many questions as you can. You shouldn't follow all of the advice you get, but it doesn't hurt to ask questions at all. And when you need help, please speak out. Also, when I was at the biometric center, I tried to meet a lot of people, and it's just funny now that we're in the UK, you have someone that you can interact with, you have places to go, you have people to visit, you are not a loner. And that happened because I was able to meet some people at the biometric center, and I asked a lot of questions. So there is no harm in asking questions. It really helps. Also, my biggest advice is to use the gov.uk website. That website is a huge resource. That's like the best place to get the right information. Get your information from there, and whenever anyone tells you something, try to just check it with the websites. It's really important that you get good information, you get quality information. Also, if you're applying with your dependents, make sure you're getting the right information. I cannot stress that enough. Make sure you're getting the right information. Do your research properly. Plus, I also started a living in UK vlog series, and for my first vlog entry, I went on a shopping haul, like a home shopping haul, so that you can see what it costs to set up your home and all of that. I'm sure that I'll be doing a grocery shopping haul as well, so that you can see what things cost. For housing, it depends on where you stay. In West Yorkshire, you can get housing for, you can get a mini flat or a 1 bedroom for between £350 to £600, just depending on where you're located. If you're in London, obviously it's going to be a lot more expensive, and this is monthly, right? So £300 to about £600 for a 1 bedroom. There are other things that you need to factor in when you're trying to get an apartment, and there are so many other things about living in the UK that I cannot cover in this video. It's beyond the scope of this video, so I'm going to be covering that in my next installment. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel if you want to see that. I have a whole lot of other videos coming that would really give you an idea of what it is like coming to the UK. I think it even makes a lot of sense for you to watch these videos before you make that decision to come, because it is a huge decision. It has an impact on your finances, it has an impact on you as a person, you as a person. So it's very important that you even watch these videos to get a feel of what it is coming over here, and before you make that decision. But all in all, I'm glad I did. I'm having a lot of fun. There are indeed benefits to staying here. I'm not gonna lie about that, and it's, you know, I'm trying to learn about the culture and what it is like living here, and I hope to share as much as I can with you guys. So let me know what you want to see, let me know what questions you have, so that I can, you know, kind of write them down and make sure that I'm answering these questions and covering everything in my next videos. Did you enjoy watching? Because I enjoyed recording. I feel like I'm just reliving the memory of coming here. I really enjoy shooting this. It's probably lengthy, but I'm sure that you have probably learned a lot. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed watching this video, you know what the ritual is. Give it a thumbs up, leave me a comment, let me really know what you think about this video. Should I make more of it, or should I just, yeah. All right, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in my next video. Bye.